Live from the CBS Bay Area studios, this is KPIX 5 News.
Now at 11, breaking news from the East Bay. Traffic blocked tonight on Interstate 80 at San Pablo Dam Road because of a deadly crash that has killed at least 4 people.
KPIX 5's Andrea Borba just got to the scene. Andrea, what can you tell us?
Well, Juliet, Brian, this is being called a fatal hit and run by the California Highway Patrol. I'm going to step out of the scene. It is a massive scene right now. You can see one of the vehicles involved that is flipped on its roof. We know at this point it was a 5-car crash. We have some video for you. Of those 5 cars, 1 fled the scene. 4 people have been pronounced dead here at the scene. 6 have been transported to area hospitals with injuries. Of the 5 people injured, 1 was a juvenile. Now, traffic on westbound I-80, where this crash happened between El Portal and San Pablo Dam Road, is fully closed while the CHP tries to clear the scene and investigate the crash scene itself. Eastbound, one of the lanes eastbound on I-80 near this crash scene is also closed because debris flew over the center divide. Now, the CHP says this crash was so horrific they could not tell the identity of the victims or even come close to making out ages. Again, traffic backed up here. Westbound I-80 closed at this point. Eastbound very slow as the CHP investigates this deadly hit-and-run crash that has left at least 4 people dead tonight. Juliet, Brian, back to you.
All right, Andrea Borba live in San Pablo for us. Andrea, thank you.
What happens when a passenger doesn't give up their cell phone easily? Someone could easily get killed.
Out 11, another rash of smartphone robberies on BART. This time, 3 separate stations were hit in just a matter of hours. At least 4 people had their phones snatched from their hands last night. And KPIX 5's Katie Nielsen is in the East Bay tonight with new details.
In April, a group of almost 50 teenagers rushed onto a BART train at the Coliseum station. They stole people's cell phones, purses, and duffel bags. It's almost exactly the same as what happened last night. It's the same type of robbers, same station at almost the exact same time. One of the victims from that April robbery says it's only a matter of time before someone is killed.
And 2 of them jumped on top of me and started beating me. Then a 3rd one got up on top of me and started kicking at me.
Rusty Stapp is describing what happened to him on April 22nd when he and his family were on BART coming back to Dublin after having dinner in San Francisco.
They eventually got my phone, took the phone away, went on down the car, robbed a few more people.
It happened at the Coliseum BART station in Oakland just after 9 o'clock. The same station and the same time as last night's robbery, where another group of teens rushed a train and stole the phones of 2 riders. BART officers arrested a 14-year-old boy after they say the witness identified him in the parking lot, and they also found one of the missing phones. In addition to the Coliseum robbery, there were 2 other cell phone robberies last night, one at the Union City station and the other at 16th and Mission. Then, at the Fruitvale station, another victim was knocked to the ground during an attempted robbery. Rusty says he's worried the violence could escalate.
What happens when a passenger doesn't give up their cell phone easily? Someone could easily get killed. Someone could pull a gun out and kill someone, and we don't want to see that happen.
BART says they did have extra officers on the train yesterday and posted this video to their Facebook page. But Rusty says that isn't enough.
At some point, BART's going to have to take these crimes seriously. You should be able to get on a public transit mode at 9 o'clock at night and not fear for your life.
Passengers we talked with tonight said they worry every time they get on the train.
I just try to go in a larger group of people to be more safe.
If I could, I'd probably avoid BART.
We reached out to BART officials today and no one was available to talk with us on camera. But in an email, they did say that they have started a cell phone theft awareness campaign and have also stepped up patrols on some trains. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to stop yesterday's robberies. In Dublin, Katie Nielsen, KPIX 5.
Check this out, only on 5. A crazy chain reaction in Pleasanton resulting in this busted fire hydrant that shot water 10 feet up. This is right near the Dublin Pleasanton BART station. The street was flooded with about 30,000 gallons of water. It all started around 6:15 when a semi-truck hit a huge low-hanging branch. It fell right on top of the hydrant, snapping it off the pavement. Soon after, firefighters were on the scene.
Experiencing a little bit of challenges on getting to the street valve. It looks like it may have been paved over at some point or another. So we're in the process of closing valves at different angles, which is a loop system to isolate the fire hydrant right now.
After about half an hour, firefighters were able to find the right valve and shut the water off. No one was injured.
And we take, let's talk about a different kind of water, the rain that we're expecting in the Bay Area within about 8 hours. As we look toward the Bay Bridge, can't see it there. In fact, it's hard to see it anywhere, even using the KPIX 5 high-def Doppler. Up on the north coast, a cold front is beginning to spread showers around Mendocino. Farther south, though, the front has not arrived, nor will it for a while. The rain is due into the Bay Area before sunrise in the North Bay, all powered by low pressure that's dropping south out of the Gulf of Alaska. High pressure in the Southland that gave Los Angeles a record high reading of 91 degrees 2 days ago finally gets pushed to the side, and that's going to change our weather as well. And how, too. The winds are going to pick up when this rain begins in the North Bay early Sunday morning around 5 a.m. and then spreads to the rest of the Bay Area, bringing gusty winds. Briefly heavy rain tomorrow morning bay-wide after sunrise, and about 1 to 2 inches total in the North Bay, with 1/4 of an inch to 3/4 of an inch for the rest of the Bay Area. In terms of timing and more amounts, we'll have that when we cover the forecast in just a few minutes.
Well, new tonight, Warriors head coach Steve Kerr talks politics, explaining in a national TV interview why he and his players disapprove of President Trump. KPIX 5's Andrea Borba has the story from Oracle Arena.
In an interview on CNN's The Axe Files, Warriors coach Steve Kerr sat down with David Axelrod to talk about his opinions on the Trump presidency. It's a subject he has not been shy about.
Our team have a tough time with the president because it's, instead of unifying and trying to calm the storm, he's creating it over and over again. We see it with his tweets every day.
He spoke about President Trump's response to the racial inequality protests that have led some NFL players to kneel during the national anthem, as well as Colin Kaepernick.
He used the word sons of to talk about NFL players who have made it clear they're protesting racial inequality and police brutality. Those are sons of really? You're the president of the United States, you're going to call them sons of and you're going to call Kaepernick out for nonviolent protest, a staple of American democracy. That's really hard to deal with.
Kerr reminded Axelrod that the Warriors were not invited to the White House after winning the NBA championships and likely would not visit in the future, calling it a human respect issue.
The personal slights that we've seen from Trump, I mean, you sort of get used to it after a while, you get numb to it, but that one really stung because it was so divisive and it was so angry and it just didn't make sense.
After the Warriors-Pelicans game at Oracle tonight, Kerr said his experience growing up in the Middle East was a factor in why he chose to do the interview.
I think it's important to speak out on issues that need to be spoken of. I think my background, my personal story is an important one to share at this time in our where we are as a country, and so I wanted to share that story.
At Oracle, Andrea Borba, KPIX 5.
Well, there are new details tonight on Black Friday sales. Analysts say it was a record-breaking day in e-commerce. Online, American shoppers spent more than $5 billion yesterday. That marks a near 17% increase from Black Friday sales last year. On Thanksgiving Day itself, online shoppers spent a record $2.87 billion, and there's still Cyber Monday to come. That's expected to be the largest U.S. online shopping day ever, with projections of $6.6 billion in sales. Many still like shopping the good old-fashioned way, by the way. People were out at the Stone Ridge Mall in Pleasanton tonight. Early estimates on Black Friday sales for big box retailers suggest a slight decline this year in comparison to last year.
We have developing overseas tonight news. The president of Egypt has vowed to hunt down the assailants who ambushed a mosque and left hundreds of worshippers dead. CBS correspondent Mola Lenghi on the deadliest attack Egypt has ever seen.
Egyptian fighter jets carried out multiple airstrikes Saturday on vehicles believed to be involved in the massacre at a mosque in northern Sinai. More than 300 people were killed, including children. Survivors say Islamic extremists took positions around the mosque's windows and doors and opened fire with rocket-propelled grenades as the imam was just about to deliver his sermon. The attackers blocked all escape routes. 13-year-old Abdullah Sleiman managed to get away. Everybody was climbing on top of each other, trying to get out of the mosque, he said. As I tried to get out, a bullet entered my leg. A day after the ambush, hospital hallways were still flooded with the injured. Grieving families claimed the bodies of their loved ones for burial. Militants have killed dozens of Christians in Cairo this year, but Egyptian officials say this is the first ever large-scale attack on a Muslim congregation. Worshippers there practice the Sufi branch of Islam, which ISIS has branded as blasphemous. So far, no one has claimed responsibility for this week's carnage. The president of Egypt has promised to respond with brutal force to those behind the attack. Mola Lenghi, CBS News, Washington.
Up next, uncertainty tonight over who is running one federal agency, why the head of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau just stepped down.
I clearly saw you turn to Amy and say bull to her. It was obvious to all of us in the room.
Plus, the Bay Area school board member being accused of bullying.
Also ahead, the holiday tradition in San Francisco that is making a lot of people hungry, where you can check out this 25-foot-tall gingerbread house.
Confusion tonight over who will be the next chief of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Its director resigned last night. The president tweeted tonight, CFPB has been a total disaster as run by the previous administration's pick. CBS correspondent Errol Barnett has more on the shakeup.
The White House expects no trouble Monday when Mick Mulvaney comes to work as acting director of the CFPB, despite the fact the agency's director, Richard Cordray, announced he was stepping down early and naming newly appointed deputy Leandra English as his replacement. All of this hours before President Trump's appointment of Mulvaney, a clash with an uncertain outcome until the Senate approves a permanent director.
It turns up being a joke, and that's what the CFPB really has been, in a sick, sad kind of way.
Mulvaney is a longtime critic of the Consumer Watchdog Agency, established as part of the Dodd-Frank bill following the 2008 financial crisis.
The CFPB has been targeted by Republicans and their Wall Street bank allies. They attacked the agency at every turn and tried to stop it from helping consumers.
Senator Elizabeth Warren, who helped create the CFPB, tweeted, "The Dodd-Frank Act is clear. The deputy director becomes acting director." The White House, citing the Federal Vacancies Reform Act, believes the president's action overrules any taken at the agency level. President Trump continued his Thanksgiving working vacation at his West Palm Beach golf club today, bringing to 53 the number of his golf visits as president, more than both his predecessors combined at this point in their administrations. Now, President Trump is also drawing a rebuke from Time magazine for claiming he was being considered as its person of the year, but refused because he would have to do an interview and a, quote, major photo shoot. In a tweet, the magazine said the president is incorrect about how it chooses honorees. Errol Barnett, CBS News, West Palm Beach, Florida.
Well, some parents in Dublin are launching an effort to recall a school board member whose behavior they say has gotten out of control. KPIX 5's Da Lin shows us one heated confrontation was caught on camera.
I clearly saw you turn to Amy and say bull to her. It was obvious to all of us in the room. I don't know how you can defend yourself from that kind of behavior in front of seniors at this school.
A parent confronts a Dublin school board member, accusing him of bullying a student speaker by mouthing the word BS.
That last comment was completely unacceptable.
Your comment to her was unacceptable. You said bull.
You have no idea what I was saying about.
Shortly after this exchange, the board member, Dan Cunningham, and the parent, Mark Schroeder, challenged each other to take it outside. Teachers at the meeting try to break it up by saying, no, no. One teacher even led a breathing exercise to calm the situation.
As an elected official, to take a citizen out back and have a fight. and you're the representative from our school district. What example does that set?
That was last month. Just a few days ago, Cunningham got into another confrontation, this time with Dublin Councilman Arun Goel. A police officer had to separate the two men at City Hall after this council meeting ended.
I was never intimidated, and the fact that he was so close to me, I simply tapped him on the shoulder, asking him to calm down.
Dublin parent Bobby Coulard claims Cunningham has repeatedly bullied parents over the years. He and other parents plan to gather signatures to recall the school board member.
We voted these folks into office, and we have the power to vote them out.
The parents plan to start the recall process next week. They need to collect roughly 8,000 signatures. In Dublin, Dahlin, KPIX 5.
Cunningham tells us he's not a bully and people just don't like his personality. He says a recall should be for more serious misconduct. Well, a San Francisco tradition is now on display. The Fairmont Hotel setting up this huge gingerbread house. It stands 25 feet tall and includes more than 10,000 pieces of gingerbread. More than a ton of icing and candy was used. You have until January 1st to check it out.
Well, that gives us plenty of time, doesn't it, Juliet?
Yes, I heard some people try to nibble on the candy. I don't know if that's, in the rules.
I don't think it is.
Yeah.
I'm still setting up my weather computer. Sorry, there's a lot to cover tonight.
We're just curious about the rain.
Well, the rain is on the way, and the latest on the conditions show the winds beginning to pick up to about 20 miles an hour out of the south. As we look toward the Bay Bridge, the numbers are mostly in the 50s. But look at the reading in San Jose. It is 70 degrees down there, an indication of the fact that we've got southerly winds bringing relatively warm air up. In fact, San Francisco at 66 is 2 degrees warmer than it was at 10 o'clock tonight. But this will all change in a hurry as this cold front that's on the way from the north coast and just abeam Mendocino begins to spread rain into the Bay Area before sunrise in the North Bay and the rest of the Bay Area south of the Golden Gate after sunrise. At the moment, there's nothing in the immediate vicinity, but that will change in the ensuing hours as rain and wind spread south. That low pressure is winding up. The cold front in front of it is pushing aside the high pressure that gave Los Angeles record highs earlier in the week. As the high weakens, here comes this front that by 6 o'clock in the morning will begin to spread rain up into Sonoma County and then down into Marin County at about the same time. Not a huge rainmaker, but it'll press quickly through the Bay Area so that by 11 o'clock, the brunt of the front will then be in the South Bay from San Jose down into the Santa Cruz Mountains and then out of here. But there are post-frontal waves coming through so that by tomorrow night at this time, a secondary front passes through and brings more rain. So we'll have a few waves of rain in the Bay Area tomorrow. Beginning, well, let's really say early tomorrow morning instead of late night tonight. Rain will turn to showers later tomorrow, and then it'll dry out on Monday, and we'll have a partly cloudy week after that. But in the meantime, the winds are going to be pretty good. The showers will be around as well, just in time for the Oakland Raiders to take on the Broncos tomorrow. There's at least a threat of showers after the front passes through, which it will by game time, but there could be lingering showers behind it. Meantime, overnight lows tonight on the mild side with temperatures in the upper 40s. And then daytime highs tomorrow will be 10 degrees cooler than they were today. And the extended forecast, rain spread south over the Bay Area beginning at sunrise today, powering into the South Bay. And then after we clear it up early Monday morning, it looks like it'll be dry until maybe another system coming through on Saturday. So expect wet tonight. Vern?
All right, we got crazy stuff in college football among the landscape. We'll try and make some kind of sense out of it. While Stanford was dropping big plays at the expense of a top 10 team tonight on the way to the Pac-12 title game. Not just one segment, we got two tonight. Let's tee it up with some college football, the local stuff first. Give me David Shaw pacing the Stanford sidelines back and forth. They went with number 8 Ochername in white. And look at this dime from K.J. Costello to Caden Smith. Huge fourth quarter play. They took a tight game and cracked it open. 3 Irish turnovers helped. Curtis Robinson came up with this interception, and I love the reaction from this Irish fan. Watch it, wait for it. Oh, there he is. Cardinal turned it into points. Costello again stepped up, connected with Dalton Schultz. Stanford won it 38-20, and that's not all. They're going to the Pac-12 title game at Levi's Stadium as a result of what happened to Mike Leach and his Washington State Cougars win, and they were division champions. Yet in the rivalry game at Washington, dark jerseys, third quarter, Myles Gaskin did a get-off-me run to the end zone Huskies buried Washington State 41-14 to win the Apple Cup, handing Stanford the Pac-12 Northern Division. All right, now let's see Charles Barkley in bronze.
And then moments ago,
Auburn alum among thousands to see the 6th-ranked Tigers take down #1 Alabama in white. Fourth quarter, quarterback Jarrett Stidham scrambled, extended their lead, made it a 2-score game. Second time this month, Auburn has taken down a #1 team, and today, the final, 26-14 over the Crimson Tide. San Jose State in blue. This was their night. Deshaun Packer outran the Wyoming defense, 44 yards, and he gone. Spartans won it 20-17. I am not done. I got wacky stuff ahead. Sharks and the Warriors went to town on the Pelicans from the Big Easy. Well, back with the NBA, little home cooking for the Warriors, rocking the town jerseys for the first time this season. And against New Orleans, watch this, Andre Iguodala going in for a block. Boogie Cousins says, no, you will not have him. But the Warriors roared back from a slow start. Klay Thompson, that's a 3-ball, and he wasn't done. Thompson, look at this later, a steal, and my gosh, I think he's going to dunk it. He scored 24, 4 in double figures. Warriors won the game 110-95. Oh, Logan Couture on the ice with the Sharkies facing the Winnipeg Jets. Second period, here goes Couture. Right to the back of the net, he scored 2 goals. Sharks blanked him, won it by a final of 4-0. 4-game road trip is next on Tuesday. And this is bizarre here, look at this. This is a bizarre scene, okay, it's a little fight. Alabama Tide, Crimson Tide, they were ejected. They left, so they had 5 players left. Injury cost them 2, so they finished the game with 3 players against Minnesota, and they almost won the game. Almost won the game. They finished with 3 players. Minnesota did win this game. This is a tournament in New York. They won it 89-84. But that is something, huh?
That is something.
You're supposed to have 5, but nope. They finished with 3.
Keep on playing.
Yep.
All right.
Just when you think you've seen it all.
Yeah.
We'll be right back. $1,400 Christmas trees arriving in Piedmont today. They're now on sale at the Boy Scout Tree Lot. It is their biggest annual fundraiser, which has become a decades-long tradition.
We have been selling trees since the late 60s, and we've got a good shipment in this year, and it goes for a worthy cause. It goes to our boys and our girls here in town.
The lot will stay open until all the trees sell out. That typically happens in about 3 weeks from now.
In the South Bay, the annual Rides for Toys event was underway in Sunnyvale. Children bought new toys, they brought them actually, to donate to kids in need, and in return, they got to ride on a fire engine. Firefighters will soon deliver the donated toys to kids in need.
Very nice. Thanks so much for watching. Our next newscast is tomorrow morning at 7:30. Actually, we don't have a morning newscast.
Tune in anyway.
Yes, tune in.
News and weather updates always on CBSSF.com as we look toward the Golden Gate Bridge. We'll see you tomorrow.